From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now all the latest news.
Kylie Conway has all the news you need to know.
And more.
Please stand by.
Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, and welcome to the News 8 Daily 8 for this Wednesday, January 6th. I'm Kylie Conway. A slightly warmer day will be on tap for our area. Some sunshine makes its way back into the picture. Not a whole lot, though. We will warm up into the upper 30s to low 40s by the afternoon. We are following breaking news all morning long. Georgia leans blue. Democrats are claiming victory in one Senate race and hold a lead in the other. Raphael Warnock is more than 53,000 votes ahead of Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler, a wide enough margin to call that race. Warnock is now set to become the first black senator in his state's history. The Warnock win pushes the Democratic caucus to within one seat of a 50-50 split in the Senate. In votes that go along party lines, incoming Vice President-elect Kamala Harris would serve as a tie-breaking vote. Warnock and Loeffler both spoke in the hours before the overnight numbers made the result clear.
We were told that we couldn't win this election. But tonight, we proved that with hope, hard work, and the people by our side, anything is possible.
We're going to make sure every vote is counted. That's right. Every legal vote will be counted, and I'm not going to stop working.
The other Senate race in Georgia is much closer and far too early to call. Democrat Jon Ossoff holds a tenuous lead over Republican incumbent David Perdue. The margin is about 16,000 as of this morning. State officials say there were no major problems with voting yesterday. And more breaking news this morning, D.C. police arrested 6 people overnight as protests erupted in the streets of our nation's capital. It's in anticipation of the certification of President-elect Joe Biden's win. And as I told you about here on the Daily 8 podcast yesterday, the National Guard was deployed there to keep order. A lot of businesses have boarded up and some roads are even blocked. And today is the final fight of the 2020 election. Big day. In just a couple of hours, Congress will meet to certify the electoral vote. So this morning, a number of Republicans, though, are saying they're going to challenge that count. According to federal law, Congress must meet January 6th. That's today, obviously. And then at 1 o'clock this afternoon, lawmakers will open sealed certificates that contain a record with each state's electoral votes. Then lawmakers from both the House and Senate must read the results out loud, and the vice president then declares the winner. But it may not happen that way. President Trump is publicly pushing for Mike Pence to reject the results and refuse to certify them. It's something that's never been done before in U.S. history. So United States Code, Title 3, Chapter 1, Section 5, says the president of the Senate, Mike Pence, will call for objections. We know there will be, either by him or by senators or representatives. In order for rejections to go through and the votes invalidated and Biden to lose the election, the two houses of Congress must agree that the votes are invalid. They must both agree. If they disagree, the vote still counts because the governors have certified them already. President Trump, even though Pence has said he can't do it, President Trump says that Pence can do this.
And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. I hope that our great vice president comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
Now, sources tell CNN that Pence has already told the president in a meeting that he does not have the authority to independently throw out the results. Many people believe today we will see an objection, but it won't go very far. Pence will go on the record as challenging the legitimacy of the votes, but without evidence and agreement, the challenge would be dismissed. We do know some of Indiana's members of Congress who plan to object. Others are keeping quiet so far. 3 Indiana Republicans, Senator Mike Braun, Representative Jackie Walorski, and Representative Jim Banks, all say they will vote against certifying the election results. Representative Victoria Spartz's office says she's reviewing all of the relevant information and will make a decision ahead of the vote. The question is, will this change anything? Hannah Mordeau reports.
It's likely to delay the process. It's going to sort of weaken Americans' trust in our electoral institutions, and that is certainly problematic.
Stephen Webster is an assistant professor of political science at Indiana University and says what is problematic is that the process is being taken over by politics. A group of 12 Republican senators, including Indiana Senator Mike Braun, plan to vote against the certification of certain battleground states, asking for a commission to conduct an emergency 10-day audit of the election results in certain swing states. Many Republican members of the House have also pushed for this, including Indiana's U.S. Representative Jackie Walorski and Representative Jim Banks.
This push, this criticism, this want for the audit, certainly makes this argument that the certification shouldn't just be done yet.
Laura Wilson is an associate professor of political science at the University of Indianapolis and says it is democratic to question and challenge an election. But these Republicans all point to election fraud as the basis of their arguments, and so far, no courts have found such fraud.
To disagree with an outcome after those challenges and questions have been exhausted would undermine the process itself.
There's been really no evidence of fraud, certainly on any level that would change the election outcomes in any meaningful way. And so that's why I think this is largely driven by politics rather than by procedure.
So back to procedure. When the certificate is read from each state, any member of Congress can object to the state's vote, but it must be in writing, signed by both a member of the House and Senate. Then a simple majority vote would determine the outcome, meaning
this is unlikely to change the ultimate outcome of this election. Joe Biden will be in the White House on January 20th, and that's simply because Democrats have enough power in Congress to prevent any sort of meaningful change to occur here.
In 2017, 11 members of Congress verbally objected to Donald Trump's certification, but this hasn't happened in written form since 2005. And the gates are open to a rally there in D.C. in support of President Trump. Trump tweeted yesterday encouraging people to arrive there early. He said he will be there and will be speaking. It's scheduled to begin at 11 o'clock. President-elect Joe Biden will speak today from Delaware. He's expected to focus on delivering relief amid the coronavirus pandemic. Plans to talk about helping small businesses and minority-owned businesses. CNN reports that Biden will also reiterate his commitment to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and ensuring federal assistance goes to Americans. Biden has backed $2,000 stimulus checks and says he'll push for more funding for state and local governments. Okay, back here in Indiana, in Fishers, there's a call to fill out a new coronavirus survey. The Fishers Health Department is encouraging people to fill it out so officials can contact you as soon as you're eligible for a vaccine. A place on the list will get you the information, but it does not guarantee you a place in line. Right now, healthcare workers and staff and residents at nursing homes are getting the doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. Operation Warp Speed says it distributed 3 million more coronavirus vaccine doses yesterday. And this morning, News 8 searched for some answers when it comes to possibly contracting COVID before you've completed the double-dose vaccine. Can you still get COVID after that first shot? A local doctor says yes. Dr. Paul Calkins at IU Health, he says it's important to remember that this doesn't mean the COVID-19 vaccine can give a person the virus. Now, it can take 10 to 14 days for the body to build immunity after vaccination. Dr. Calkins says that's because your body is learning what to do and how to fight off the virus. It's also important to look at the data. There were people testing positive at the same rate as people with the placebo in both the Pfizer and Moderna trials. So regardless if you had the real vaccine in that first shot or the placebo, people were contracting COVID at the same rate after that first dose. So Dr. Calkins adds it is possible to have an asymptomatic infection after that first shot.
Really have to assume you have no protection until about 2 weeks after your first dose. And then you have protection, which is better than zero, but partial until you get your second dose. And you really need another week after your second dose. So.
Okay, so that's about 4 weeks for Pfizer and 5 for Moderna between the first dose, and that's 95% effective there. So while getting the first dose doesn't mean throwing your mask away, Dr. Calkins also says it will protect you from those more severe symptoms. It's also important to know that if you do test positive after your first dose, that doesn't mean starting over. You just go ahead and get that second dose when it's time. For the third straight day, the United States hit a record number of hospitalizations. According to the COVID Tracking Project, more than 130,000 people are in hospitals across the country this morning. Just more than 2,900 of those are in Indiana. Our state's numbers improved during December, but now the state health department says hospitalizations have increased each day of the new year. The IRS says a glitch is causing some stimulus checks to go into the wrong accounts. The agency says it's a nationwide problem connected to pass-through accounts used by tax services like H&R Block and TurboTax. So Julie Ewing, she lives in Greenfield. She says the money for her and her husband went into an account they had never seen before. Ewing says she called the IRS and was told she should have her money deposited into her real account by Saturday. Another caller with the same issue was told she may have to wait up to 6 weeks.
But we were fortunate because Regions Bank postponed our house payments this whole entire time until December. And so that's the only thing that saved us. If not, we would be desperate. You know, I still need that money, but I'm not desperate like some of the other people. And that's who I feel sorry for.
H&R Block says in a statement that when it noticed the issue, it immediately deposited millions of stimulus payments to customers' bank accounts or a prepaid credit card, depending on the customer's preference, and that all direct deposits are being processed. And there's a problem with the new online system that's making it hard for grieving families in Indiana to get death certificates. The new system has been up since the start of the new year. ITMate found that the state has, for several months, been asking doctors and funeral directors to register, but many have failed to do so. Andy Clayton is the executive director of the Indiana Funeral Directors Association. He says the pandemic is creating a tremendous workload, and directors need the system up and running or risk a dangerous backlog.
To cremate here in the state of Indiana, we have to have a signed death certificate filed with the county health department before we can cremate. In 5 days, 6 days now, we haven't been operating in a system, and we're at record death levels in Indiana.
Without a death certificate, families can't settle estates, collect insurance, or in many cases even hold a funeral. And the last remaining major video chain is shutting down. Family video stores close next month. That includes 20 of them in Indiana. Company officials say the emergence of streaming sites and the lack of new movies this year are big factors in the decision to shut down. News 8 spoke with one family video manager who says business was down 50 to 75% after reopening in the summer. We spoke to customers who say they will miss them.
It's sad. We're going to miss so many people. Yeah.
Maybe something you weren't thinking of, it pops out at you, so that's going to be missed a little bit.
It hurt my heart.
Stores are selling off all remaining movies, video games, and store fixtures. And there is significant reaction over the decision to not charge a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, for the shooting of a black man. A Wisconsin prosecutor announced that he could not disprove that the officer acted in self-defense in August. The officer claims he feared Jacob Blake would stab him. A small group of protesters walked through downtown, faced off with the National Guard. There were no reports of violence. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers said the decision is evidence that, in his words, our work is not done. The family of Jacob Blake says they are not surprised by the charging decision. Here's Blake's father.
So now our battle must go in front of the Congress. It must go in front of the Senate. We must abolish the right for a policeman to be seen on a higher plane than citizens of the United States.
Blake survived the shooting but is paralyzed. A federal civil rights investigation into the shooting is still ongoing. A judge in the United Kingdom has denied bail to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Assange will remain in prison while courts consider an appeal by the United States against a decision to not extradite him. On Monday, the judge rejected an American request to send Assange to the U.S. to face espionage charges. The judge denied the extradition for health reasons. U.S. investigators are placing blame for a recent hacking of government computer systems. Intelligence and law enforcement agencies released a joint statement yesterday saying the attack likely originated in Russia. Investigators believe the hack was done to gather information. It is not yet clear how far the breach went. Last month, it was announced that hackers broke into about a half a dozen government agencies and a cluster of private companies. A woman from Bloomington is pleading guilty after climbing Mount Rushmore. It's a federal violation to scale the monument. Rangers say Molly Vinderley did it at night and admitted she did it late because she knew she was breaking the law. A ranger says he spotted Vinderley's flashlight on security camera and found her at the base of George Washington's lapel. She's going to pay a fine. The jackpot for Mega Millions got bigger overnight. No winner drew all 6 numbers for the $432 million prize. There are some smaller prizes associated with the winning numbers. 3 people matched 5 numbers for a $1 million prize. A 4th person matched 5 and got the mega plier for $2 million. None of those tickets was purchased in Indiana. The cash prize now grows to $490 million, and that drawing will take place Friday night. Now to some sports headlines. Colts quarterback Phillip Rivers says he is not letting postseason pressure get to him ahead of Saturday's playoff game. The quarterback has been in 11 playoff games throughout his career. His record is 5-6. Rivers has never made a Super Bowl appearance. He says that's not weighing on him, though, ahead of the matchup with the Buffalo Bills.
I don't carry that with me day to day that, played 16 years, never been part of a championship. I really don't. We strive for it every year and striving for it like crazy this year, but it's not something I feel heavy or something I'm carrying around with me. Shoot, it's a new beginning every day.
Our team will get you ready for the playoffs, too. We are traveling to Buffalo. Look for live reports on Countdown to Kickoff, the only 1-hour pregame show in the state. Just tune in Saturday at 11. And the team is helping fans get in the playoff spirit with several events this weekend. The Colts are preparing to have a caravan parade roll through neighborhoods Thursday and Friday in Greenwood, Irvington, Brownsburg, and Westfield. Fans are encouraged to cheer from their driveways at a safe distance. There's also a Colts playoff sweepstakes. You have a chance of winning gift cards from $100 to $500 and prizes like TVs, coolers, and tailgate tents. And 2 of the Colts' all-time greats score again. Both Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne are finalists for Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is Manning's first year of eligibility. He is widely considered a shoo-in for induction. Wayne was a finalist last year. He played a franchise record 211 games during his career and is near the tops of all time in touchdowns and receiving yards. We will find out the week before the Super Bowl whether they'll make the final cut and go into the Hall.
The 2020 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Devontae Smith of the University of Alabama.
For the first time in nearly 3 decades, a wide receiver gets college football's highest honor. Devontae Smith's Heisman win marks the 3rd for the Crimson Tide since 2009. The Heisman Trophy Trust held the ceremony virtually this year. Smith accepted his award in Alabama. Smith has 105 catches for 1,641 yards and 22 total touchdowns in his senior season. Smith said he talked a little bit about the importance of hard work and achieving your dreams. Take a listen.
Just that you got to put your mind to the things that you want to do. If it's something that you really want to do, you have to truly believe in it and work for it and just keep working, and you're going to get everything that you're looking for.
Smith still has a chance to add national champion to his resume. Alabama plays Ohio State University next week in the College Football Playoff National Championship. Okay, now to business headlines. American companies are being hit with a double whammy: high unemployment and a record number of workers calling out sick. Nearly 1.8 million workers were absent in November because of illness, slightly less than the record 2 million who called out sick in April. It's according to the U.S. Department of Labor. Meanwhile, another worry is at the slow vaccination process. The World Bank says this year's growth may be kept to a paltry 1.6% if the vaccine rollout is delayed and infections continue to climb. The USDA announced $1.5 billion for another round of food boxes. These are the Farmers to Families food boxes that help American families access nutritious and healthy meals as we recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Milk prices surged after USDA food box aid program was extended. Subaru sales were up in December compared to a year ago. The Crosstrek had its best December sales ever. The Lafayette-made vehicle sales were down. The Ascent, Impreza, Legacy, and Outback are all made at the Lafayette plant, and the Impreza saw a 34% drop in sales. Indiana ranked 12th for migration growth. In other words, people moving into the state. The list was put together by U-Haul and based on the number of people moving into and out of states. Tennessee saw the highest number of people moving in, and California saw the most people leaving. This has been your News 8 Daily for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
Check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
allindianapodcastnetwork.com.